It's our pleasure to host Abby Scott, who graduated from PC in 2013. She went on to earn her Master's of Accountancy at Wake Forest, and she is now in Boston working as a CPA with BDO. Welcome, Abby.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so let's get started. Tell us a bit about your academic and professional background.
Sure. So like you mentioned, I graduated from PC in 2013. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina, so born and raised in the South, and just went a couple hours away to school. From there, I went on to Wake Forest and did my master's in accounting there. I guess I'll backtrack. At PC, I had a double major in economics and business administration with concentrations in accounting and management. So I pretty much lived in the business department in Jacobs. But yeah, so then I went on to Wake Forest. It was a one-year program for me. I did an internship between PC and Wake Forest. So that allowed me to only have to do 1 year of grad school. My internship turned into a full-time job, and that was with an accounting firm in Charlotte called Cherry Beckert. And they're a regional firm. They have offices all over the Southeast. I think they've even expanded now into the Midwest a little bit, but it's a regional size firm. Had a great experience there. Really the only reason I left is because I decided that I wanted to get out of the South, try something different, go somewhere new. I had some friends who were in Boston, and just figured, hey, why not? I'm not tied down, so I'll give it a shot. So moved on up to Boston, and because Cherry Beckert didn't have an office in Boston, I was looking for different firms, and I liked the size of Cherry Beckert, so I didn't want to go with a huge firm, but still a good national presence. So I joined BDO, and that was in 2017, 2018, I think, actually, and have been at BDO now for 3 years. Love it. And yeah, it's been pretty much the same thing. It's a public accounting firm, and different roles, different clients, but that's kind of where life has taken me from PC.
Awesome. So what does your company do, and what are your roles or responsibilities?
Sure. So BDO is a public accounting firm. It's a CPA firm, and we have all sorts of service lines. I work in the audit or assurance department. So basically what we do is we look at financial statements. We check, to make sure that things are being reported properly, because investors are relying on the reports that we put out to make investing decisions. And there's also government contracts that require audits. So it's pretty much just high level, making sure that what a company is saying they have in terms of, their cash, their assets, things like that, that it truly exists. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm usually running anywhere from 5 to 10 clients at a time. So I'm bouncing around, answering emails, reviewing things that associates have prepared. I'm at the senior level, so I do some preparing, but mostly reviewing work. I'm pretty much the front face with the clients, so it's a lot of calls with clients and making sure they're happy, and but also getting what we need to do our job. So no day ever looks the same, which is one of the things I like about it. It's not the same thing every single day. So I do like that. Flexibility and change.
Awesome. What do you like the best about your job?
So I'd say one of the things I like the most is probably the people I work with. It's a little hard now with COVID and everyone's working remotely. So unfortunately, I'm not seeing my coworkers. Occasionally we do a Skype call, and we'll chat in, and people turn their video on, and seeing faces after a long time, which is fun. But it's really fun to just work with people who have come from all over the country, and we have a lot of international individuals as well. So it's just a really good culture. and just a very positive place to work. So I love the people. And like I said earlier, I also really like the fact that every day is different. It's not a 9-to-5 job, but it is very flexible. So if I decide one day that I want to work 7 a.m. until 3 p.m., as long as I get my work done and no one's left high and dry, then usually no one has a problem with it. So you can kind of make your schedule how you want, which is nice.
So going off that, what are your biggest headaches?
I'd say probably the most challenging things are communication. It can be tough, especially in today's times. You have to almost over communicate because we're not face to face with the client. We're not face to face with each other. It's relying on email, getting your point across directly and efficiently, and having a lot of phone calls. And so I'd say probably one of the biggest headaches is if someone on my team hasn't communicated enough, and so I'm left not knowing where things are, or what the status of something is, then that's probably a challenge. But that's a challenge in a lot of industries and a lot of jobs, and so it's definitely something I always focus on trying to be better at, being a better communicator, making sure I'm concise, but giving enough information so people know what exactly I'm talking about.
How have you seen your firm change since you've been there?
So I'd say the biggest change is probably in the realm of a lot of data analytics. Even since I was an intern, we would do some analytics, but there was nothing really going on in terms of these high, like Power BI, which is a Microsoft tool that just spits out crazy data. And so that's definitely been a change. We're incorporating a lot of artificial intelligence now. And so it's all these trainings that come out on, how to use that, how to make your job more efficient, and clients are able to produce more data. So it's us having to kind of filter through all that extra data that we may not have gotten in the past. So it's, now that we have all this info, what can we do with it? What do we not need? So I'd say that definitely, technology has changed a ton. The way we communicate, we never were using Zoom or, anything like that. So now it's just quick chats. You can easily hop on a meeting. And so I'd say that's probably the biggest thing. And I'd say actually the other thing is it's becoming a lot more remote, not just because of COVID. I used to travel a ton for work. I was probably on the road probably 30 weeks a year, so definitely more than half. And now there's a big push of people were wanting a better work-life balance and not, flying out first thing on a Monday morning and back late on a Friday. So it's how can we use the technology we have to work in our own office or in a coffee shop if you want, where can you work that works for you? So that's kind of nice too. It's, sometimes I like being at the client, but it can also be distracting and not as productive. So that's been a nice change too.
Cool. Now that you have the benefit of hindsight, is there anything you would have done differently in college to better prepare you for your role?
So I think going off of talking about how the industry's changed in terms of there being, very rapid, big changes with technology and how we're using it, I'd say one of the things I wish I'd done more was maybe focus more on some of the computer type classes that were available, and not necessarily even just in the business department, but there's, computer science classes and things. I'm for sure not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to Excel. And it's amazing how certain people can just use just only the keyboard for things. And it blows my mind. So I think, knowing where the industry and where the world as a whole is going, which is just more technology constantly all the time, it's definitely focusing on learning those things and, being willing to give things a try. And, it may not be necessarily the most fun in my personal opinion, but, if it makes my job easier and I'm more marketable, those would probably be some of the things that I would have done a little differently. But aside from that, I think PC couldn't have prepared me better. So,
What life lessons or advice do you have for current students who may want to pursue this career?
so I would say one of the key things is anytime you meet someone who is in the industry, and even if it's not accounting, in any type of business that you want to go into, take the opportunity if someone invites you to do something, or if it's some relationship that you think, why do I need to talk to this person? I'm never going to need to know who they are or what they do. I would say always take advantage of those opportunities. The way I actually landed my internship and then job, I never really had a formal interview. It was family friends who lived down the street from my parents, and they were great friends with the managing office partner of the firm, Troy Becker in Charlotte. And they said, "Oh, you should call up Ron and chat with him, and just see what life is like in their office." So I gave him a call, and he invited me in, and then I met a few people. Then he and another partner invited me to lunch at a country club, and that ended up being an interview that I had no idea that's what it was. And at the end, they said, "Oh, do you want an internship?" And I was like, "Oh, sure." Sounds great. So I would say, take advantage of those opportunities, and, just always be willing to learn more and meet people. I definitely was fairly shy growing up, and I think anything you can do to kind of get out of your bubble and do things that might be a little uncomfortable, you never know what can come of it. So, take advantage of those, and never let anyone tell you that you can't do something, in terms of even not as much professionally, but, moving from the South, my parents thought, "Oh, this is crazy. What are you doing? Why are you going so far away?" And I only had 2 friends up here, and one was at Harvard. So I knew there's a chance that she might not be here for long. And I thought, this is something I want to do, and I want to give it a try. And it's probably one of the best decisions I ever made. So, if you want to do something, go for it, and don't let people stand in your way.
Awesome. So PC's motto is "While we live, we serve." In what ways are you involved in service outside of work?
So probably the biggest thing that I have recently done that I love is I'm on the Young Alumni Council at PC, which is new this year, and it actually started in the fall, but it was new this past academic year. And I'm fairly close with Lenny Patterson, and she reached out, and it couldn't be a more perfect way for me to stay involved with PC, especially being so far away. But I've been able to go back to campus. I was there in the fall to attend a day-long session of meetings and catching up. So I was able to see the campus and all the updates that have been made, which is amazing. It's beautiful. But even then, just because I lived far away and couldn't, hop right over, it didn't matter. She said, we can Skype you into meetings, we'll make it work because we want you to be involved. And so I've absolutely loved being on that committee. And then outside of that, I have gotten pretty involved in volunteering for different athletic events in Boston. So Head of the Charles is a huge crew, international crew, like rowing race. And so I've volunteered with that. I signed up this year to volunteer for the Boston Marathon. That got canceled, but there are kind of some virtual ways that I'm still able to help out with that. So trying to stay involved as I can, but it's definitely a little harder with work full time, but
Yeah.
doing what I can.
Awesome. So that looks like that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for talking with us. I really enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Good luck with everyone for your year.
Thank you.